Now, so what is for homework? Yes. Now, holidays. Yes, the same as my holidays. Right? So finish the book, inshallah. When you come back and then you read the whole book, and then first day, then you can do better books. Like, not that this is not a good book, but if the students like, okay, this is because there are different levels, obviously, in the class, and the part-time is designed to accommodate everyone. But if the class works, and there's almost like enthusiasm from the class, and then you will move, the teacher will move with you. But look, there's no rush also. I think I have to say that there's no rush. But eventually, if you get out of this book, you have to do another book, and then there will not be enough story books. Then you will have to start reading content books. And one of the nice things about reading a content books is that you don't only get the practice of reading, but you get to read from the Torah. And I remember once I asked one of the teachers, I don't know if you know Mullah Yasin Abbas. Never heard of him. Giants are normally like that. So Mullah Yasin Abbas, I think in the old years, he used to teach at the seminary in Dubai, Darul Ulum Al-Arabiya Al-Islamiyya, where Mullah Zakaria is teaching there now. Mullah Taha Rahimahullah's madrasa. We all come from Dubai. So he used to teach there. I don't think he taught even Mullah Zakaria, and he didn't teach Mullah Khalil either. It was before their time. So I was once asking him, obviously you know that we had the school over there, Kutri. So and we have we completed, not completed, but it's the end of our year now also. And this is the first year that we had Nahu and Sarf and reading and Quran translation and Arabic books for the students in grade 7 and grade 8. So I was asking Mullah Yasin Abbas, if we look at curriculum development, how can we increase our Islamic studies offering? How can we give the best possible Islam, like that? If we want to claim that it can be true to the word Turath, that it can be true to the word legacy, Islamic legacy. How can we plug people into this at this age, and especially in a school? So he said to me that the sooner you increase the level of Arabic, the better you'll be able to offer them. Meaning what? That the whole legacy is in the Arabic language. And if you can open up the Arabic language to the student, then you open the legacy to them. If you open the Arabic language to the student, then you open the legacy to them. Right? And this is the key for yourselves as well. That all of this, all of the translation that you're doing, the reason that you can translate, and it's really because of the Arabic language, but what will increase your translation is your ability to read the tafsir. If you can go to a small tafsir like the Jalalain or Safatu Tafasir, and you can read it and you can understand it to some degree, right? Then the world of translation will really be behind you. And you won't, because your translation is according to your tafsir. Isn't it so? I think by now you've learned that your translation is because of your understanding of tafsir. And this one of the first things that I tell the students in this program is that translation is a type of tafsir. Translation is a type of tafsir. Why? Because ideologically, from the Aqidah perspective, the Quran is only the Arabic words, nothing else. So whenever we depart from the literal letter of the Quran, then it's an interpretation, whether that be in the Arabic language or otherwise. It's always an interpretation. Every translation is an interpretation, and you can only interpret according to tafsir. I give you an example. You have the basmala. Let us go to Surah Fatiha. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Provide us with some translations of this. In the name of Allah, the most merciful, the especially merciful. Anyone else? With the name of Allah. What is the difference between with the name of Allah and in the name of Allah? So you see, what happens is once I gave a student a test to translate something, but they had to write a commentary. So they translated and then they wrote a commentary according to their translation. So this is what happens. The moment you decide on a translation, your commentary will go according to that. So you have to make the right translation choice. Otherwise, your commentary won't be right. So what are the two? When you translate Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, you must think, what is the meaning of Ba? What's the meaning of Ba in the Basmala? There's two meanings. What's the one meaning? In Arabic. The one meaning of Ba is isti'ana. The second meaning of Ba is musahaba. Musahaba means from suhba. What's suhba? Companionship. So, bi musahabati ismillah is the one meaning. Meaning with the accompaniment of Allah's name. Mutabarrikan, seeking blessings. What is the other one? Bisti'anati ismillah. Meaning what? With seeking help through Allah's name. Actually, isti'ana here actually means like to use Allah's name as a tool. So the one is in the name of Allah, meaning what? That this thing is actually going with the name of Allah. And the other one is what? Is with the name of Allah, meaning I'm using the name of Allah to gain some blessings. You understand? So the translation must follow the tafsir, not the tafsir follow the translation. And in order for you to get there, you have to have the willingness to access the Arabic language, right? Not the ability, the willingness. Because I can promise you that we're still reading and we're still learning. We're still reading and we're still learning. And you can come to a class and prepare a whole tafsir. And I don't know if there's not a teacher that you can read and read and read and read. But the meaning sometimes comes, as Maulana Muhammad always tells us, that al-ilmu bayna ithnain, that knowledge is like reciprocative, meaning that you can sit and read on your own, but the moment you enter into a discussion, things become clear to you. That's why Ali radiallahu anhu used to say, like, continue to debate positively, because this will increase your potential. So the Arabic language is really, it's the key to the Torah. It's the key to this whole Islam. Right? And because I like translation, I've thought a lot about like the value of translating, and like translating books and making books available to the English audience. I think this one of the things that I was always most passionate about was that. But every day I become less impressed with the idea and more bent on the idea that people must learn Arabic. Because if you get the translation, then you get my attempt to understand it. And if you get the Arabic, then you get your attempt to understand it. And then if you don't understand it, at least you get the reward. Right? So that's in terms of translation. And that's in terms of the Arabic language. And I think that in this course, the students, I mean, I haven't been here for a long time. In fact, I have. We were driving past here the other day, and I was saying that I think I was here in grade 11. or grade 12 or grade 11. So that's close to 10 years ago. Mala Riyad Saluji used to be here that time. Mala Ismail Lant used to be here that time. It was very different. At the time it used to be called Dawrah Sunday Intensive. I don't know if you can remember. Well, the students that were here in that time, Dawrah Sunday Intensive. MashaAllah. So we all started together. At that time, the masjid used to be quite full. The masjid used to be very full. Subhanallah. You used to come on a Sunday morning and it was buzzing. You had to go in your groups and we used to have that yellow surf books. And that time we used to actually say the Ani. You remember that time we used to say Fa'ala, Fa'ala, Fa'alu. Right? But now it's like Voldemort, you can't say. Right? So if you remember other courses used to be that time in comparison to how it is now, I don't think it's very different. But yeah, I was saying we started out that time, and it's very possible for you to be proficient in this even through this once a week coming. And sometimes it presents like a better opportunity for you, because when you're in the school every day, when you're in a madrasa every day, or when you're in an institute every day, you can quickly become tired of the work. And one of the things that always happens to a student is that you fall behind. And when you fall a week behind in a system that is running every day, then you lost. But over here, like it's a week comes much longer, and it's much easier to catch up, and there's more time to consolidate, right? So it's much easier for you to keep up with this. And I think the people who's here in the Dawrah, they're here for, mashallah, for years. And the only thing that you need, like, to take your Arabic really to the next level is courage. Right? You have to take the courage to read. You have to take the courage to read books. And when you do that, then you will see how easy it is. But until you don't take the courage to read, then you will continue to think that, look, the Arabic language is a difficult language, and I can't read without i'rab, right? I remember when I was in the third year, and I used to be afraid of a book. I was literally afraid of this book, right? They won't believe it. Malna Khalil said he's going to join us, so I hope he comes soon. He said he'll join us to the online and give us some advices, and right. So if anybody wants to share reflections about a year or something like that, I can give you the mic, and then you can myself, because we completed the last surah, so we don't want to start afresh. But I was afraid of this book. The book was called Nihayatul Muhtaj. It was called Nihayatul Muhtaj. It came in 4 volumes. There were 2 reasons I was afraid of the book. Number one was the script. The script was a very difficult script to read. The second reason I was afraid of the book is because I was afraid that what if I open the book and I try to read it and I don't understand it? So there's an air of apprehensiousness when you want to read something. And normally you want to read that thing that you know. So it's easier for you to do revision than for you to do new work. Because you want to feel in control. You want to feel like you're achieving something. And I was afraid of this book for most of the year. I used to hear about the information in this book, and I wanted to read it. But I was afraid, what if I read this book and I don't understand it? So I remember one day I went to go and read this book. And then I realized, oh man, but this is an easy book. Right? It wasn't easy, but it wasn't like the challenge that I thought it was in my mind. It wasn't like the challenge that I thought it was in my mind. And when I came to the next year, whenever I used to do research, I only used to go to that book. I only used to go to that book. So there is a fear, like, I think amongst the students that, like, there's two things. You don't want to get the answer wrong in class, which is, I think, a small one for everyone. It's just like a slight fear. It's not really serious. But the second one is like, what if I read this and I don't understand the Arabic language? And that one's in the subconscious. And I can tell you, if there's anything that's blocking you whilst you're sitting there and you're thinking now, why am I not reading this well? And it's because of that. And to overcome that, you only have to take courage to make mistakes. Only have to take courage to make mistakes. No. So that's about the Arabic language. Any comments from yourselves? How's the experience thus far? Good use of a Sunday morning. Obviously, it's not only the Arabic, but there are many other things. But I think it's somewhat centered around the Arabic, somewhat. But there are other elements also. But I think the main element in terms of like the learning experience is the Arabic.
Studying the Arabic language not be essential to me as a Muslim. I think how is not want to make Dawrah to them, but how can you encourage people whether they're more mature and they've not shown any longer, actually still it's valid to understand Arabic language and continuing connection or thinking what's your take on you how you can break that barrier and idea.
I think so. The question comes is that you find certain. I'm going to try to be like as precise in my conveying of the question. Do you find certain people, and I think you mentioned ethnic groups also, that they find they don't see the Arabic language as essential to their practice or their development as Muslims or in Islam, right? And especially as they get older, they don't seem to like, if I can put this word in, wake up to the importance of the Arabic language. So how can we do da'wah or make them like, or encourage them or make them understand or see the importance of the Arabic language to their development? I think I think that the students of Mizan you are more befitting to answer the question than me, because you find yourself here. I'm a young boy, and I don't know. There is a lot of mystery around my age. There is a lot of mystery around my age, but realistically, I am a young boy. To take the cat out of the bag, how old am I? What? 25. No, I am actually 25. So what I'm saying is that I think the students via your own reflection will know better. Like, I think it will be interesting if you could gather some of your own reflections of what made you realize, because I think we have a gathering of different ages, of what are the things that caused you to consider the importance of this journey. And perhaps if people just hear that, people, of different age categories, and especially as they're getting older, perhaps if people hear what it is that prompted you to consider this journey, perhaps that will be an answer enough for them. Maybe they don't need some technical explanation or some philosophical or some ideological or some legal explanation of why you must learn the Arabic language, because I think that is evidently clear to everyone. I think that sometimes, and many a times, people need, like they need to be emotionally invested at a certain like stage in your life. So maybe you can tell us.
Telling us about how the Quran just puts us in a world of understanding. So I think that's working behind the back of my mind doing someday kind of thing. But yeah, just speaking to journey to other people in there that would say, but no, at least to difficult. I don't really consider that as a translation. I don't translation is good. I mean, someone like this. These are the real high interest I find and I'm speaking to people.
So she mentions that, obviously I'm repeating because sometimes the online doesn't hear as well, so we don't want to keep them out of the conversation. That it's maybe it's some like a family thing. It lingers in the mind, you know, that encouragement from parents or from a father in particular, right? And I think that's one of the things that cause people to do certain things late in their life, is that you have the seed has been planted already, and you kind of just live your life waiting for the opportunity to water the seed, really. So it's one of those things. I don't know. Some of the brothers can tell us what would you say to somebody, or how would you encourage somebody to not come to Mizan, but to study, to learn Arabic wherever it is?
The seed germinated to like good respect. My perspective was that if I take the companions of the Prophet, then a lot of them were, even the Prophet himself, but the one thing they did have was an understanding of the language, which meant that the Quran made it revealed and was meaningful to them and to understand. Whereas here I could read and I could write and technically literate of that document. So they enhance their character, they enhance their life. So that makes reading less than illiterate in that sense. So that I think is the rationale.
I think that's an interesting one. This is that when he compares himself to the companions, radiallahu anhum, that you find that many of the Sahaba and even the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, they weren't formally trained in reading and writing. Yet they didn't find him in front of themselves a barrier from understanding the Quran. And that was owed to the fact that they had some ability over the language. And so he says, here he finds himself with the ability to read and write, but not having made any steps in gaining ability over the language. So he thought, look, if people who didn't read and write could do it, then maybe I can also give it a try. No? And I think that's a valuable one. And a point that I was thinking of whilst you're saying this is that sometimes when we're speaking about the Arabic language, then it can come off as an end in and of itself. So I think sometimes the way that we promote the learning of the Arabic language is that it becomes about Arabic. But sometimes what people need to hear is that, there's an opportunity to get a deeper understanding of the Quran. I know you like the translation, but what if you could experience this on a deeper level? I know that you are understanding a little bit about Islam, but what if you could know more? What if you could understand better? What if different appreciations could open up to you? No? And this creates an interest, right? That's why they say you can take the horse to the water. You can't make it drink unless you create a thirst. Oh, you didn't hear that one. You see now. It's like the other saying. They say, jack of all trades, master of none. What's the rest of the saying? is still better than a master of one. Jack of all trades, master of none is still better than a master of one. We forget about that one. So it seems like it's right. So over here, what you can take the horse to the water, but you can't make it drink. But if you make the horse thirsty enough, you can drink. So this is fada'il, this is the virtue, right? So sometimes when we are calling towards goodness, then we sell the means. We sell the means. And the means can be very dry and very mechanical, right? But when you sell the end, then the end is always juicy. The end is always tasty. The end is always pleasurable. So when you sell the end, then people are more inclined to go through whatever means it might take. And for me, this is the message that I got from that it was that he didn't look at Arabic as this is what I need. He looked at, but the companions reached understanding, and they didn't read and write. I can read and write, but how can I reach understanding? So sometimes the question is not. That's what I preface this discussion with, that for me it's not about the Arabic language in and of itself, even though that has its own value, but it's about access to the Torah. It's about access to the legacy. And if you can, and many people study for that reason. Many people study for that reason. They don't study because they want to speak Arabic. I think very few people, if you wanted to speak Arabic, you wouldn't be here. If you wanted to speak the Arabic language, you wouldn't be at Mizan. Right? You would be at some other course. But over here, one of the indicators of your presence here being about gaining a deeper understanding is that we don't offer the opportunity to use the Arabic language in conversation. We don't offer it. And we won't offer it. Well, I can't say that, I'm not in management. But I would assume that we won't offer it, because that's not our goal here. Our goal here is to access the Quran and to access Hadith and to access, right? And you don't need to be able to hold a conversation in order for you to get that access. The ability to speak is completely different or separate from the ability to access a text. I know many people that are very, very good at reading and understanding Arabic. But if you take them to the Arab lands, I know that a few years ago I went to Palestine. I was there for about 2 months, and I was with, at the time, he was one of the teachers where I was, but it wasn't I. And then I found myself to be the translator, and he didn't speak a word of Arabic, but he was a teacher of like Arabic books and that. So the ability to use the language is very different from, like, in speaking is very different to being able to read and understand, right? There are many people who can read and understand Arabic, English, but don't ask them to give a motivational speech. No? And don't ask them to address a crowd. And don't ask them to, but put them alone in a room full of books and get them to write reports. Then all the jargon comes out, right? And they will write you something extremely technical. So it's very important to understand what you want. It's very important for you to understand what you want, because one can ask oneself at the same time that, how is speaking Arabic going to bring me closer to Allah? How is speaking Arabic going to bring me close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? And when we travel in Arab countries, many times we meet these people and we think to ourselves, how are these people not like proficient in the understanding of Islam? They have the whole Arabic language at their disposal, but there are things that you know that they will not know. There are things that you know that they will not know. The understandings that you hold of the Quran, that you can go to Egypt and you can go to Jordan and you can go to Syria, go to these, and you will find people that don't hold these understandings as deeply as you hold it of the Quran. That's a reality. And I can tell you that because I've met those people. People that don't understand the Quran and they speak the Arabic language. I met a young boy, he was in his teens at the time. His name was Yahya. And the boy didn't know how to make salah. I met him in Palestine. He doesn't know how to make salah. He doesn't know how to read Quran. But I'm having a conversation with him in Arabic. But he doesn't have enough Quran to pray salah. No. So if there was anything to tell you that Arabic is a means, it's not the end, then it is the phenomena of people in the Arab lands not having as much as you have. So, and these are great opportunities. These are great opportunities. Walillah alhamdu, we've been to Muslim countries, and subhanallah, you won't find at now, as you're sitting here, then this is not the only Sunday course that is taking place. This is not the only opportunity. Like we're sitting here now, there are people sitting in different places, in Rondebosch, in Strandfontein, in Mitchell's Plain, in Weinberg, in doing the same thing. This is very, very rare. If you go to other places in the world and Muslims are starving, there's only in most places in the Eastern world especially, there's only two ways that you can learn deen. Either you went to the maktab, either you went to the maktab, right afternoon madrasa, or you went to study full time, or you went Jamaat or Tabligh. Anything else, there isn't. There's no part-time courses, there's no sometime courses, there's no full-time courses, there's no 2-year courses, there's no Arabic enrichment courses, they don't exist. They don't exist. Right? We were recently now in Mauritius. Same thing. The only opportunity people have to learn the deen is in the maktab, the afternoon madrasa, or full-time institution, meaning Darul Ulum. Nothing else. Oh, look, I think the conversation about why is a whole another discussion. And it requires separate contemplation. And I mentioned this to you so because it's one of the things that you have to be thankful for. And you won't know it. You won't know it if your existence is just here in Cape Town. And I think the guys from Joburg and that they can tell you, if you just go a little bit out of the city, and then you find that scarcity kicking in again, right? And I'm not saying, I'm not making a judgment of are scholars working, is it good and bad? I'm saying that realize the favor that you sit in, that's all. That's the only point that I want to make. I don't want to make a point about other scholars or other communities or that this is a very unique thing. And I've been to multiple places in the world just for the sake of deen. And the more places I've seen, the more I've realized that this is not like the norm. That you have a Monday class and a Tuesday class and a Wednesday class and a Thursday class. Some of the teachers in this institute used to teach like this. There's a class on Mondays and a class on Tuesdays, a class at the moment in Cape Town. On a Monday night, if you're available, there's a class. On a Tuesday night, if you're available, there's a class. On a Wednesday night, if you're available, there's a class. On a Thursday night, on a Friday night, on a Saturday night, there's classes. On a Sunday morning, on a Sunday night. There's no excuse, no excuse. Part-time, sometime, full-time. To have a few minutes there's something for you. Whether it's about spirituality, or about fiqh, or about the Quran, or tafsir, or bacha. Oh, don't talk about bacha classes. There's so much, right? And in one city concentrated like this, one might say the market is saturated, right? There's like for some scholars, like there's not enough days in the week for the amount of programs that they want to have, right? Sometimes you can find twice in a day. There are scholars now that after Asr they have classes, isn't it so? After Asr. Sometimes in the week, sometimes in the weekends. And they're becoming more and more and more. So part of our responsibility, they say zakatul ilm ta'limuhu. That zakah of knowledge is to teach it. But then also like to give encouragement and to increase the amount of people coming to not to Mizan Institute, to classes in general. And we must never become muta'assib. We must never become like fanatical about the exact thing that we're doing. You must learn Arabic at Mizan, right? Because what happens is that that extremism returns on us. It won't be said that the students are extreme. It will be said that Mizan is extreme. You see them, Mullah Khalil and them, they just wanted to come to them. And they look down upon everyone else. You just give the general da'wah to people. Give them a general message. You know what? Learn the Quran wherever it is. Doesn't matter. Right? Because if you're going to try to get people to come to Mizan, only to Mizan, sometimes that the way that we present it becomes a deterrent in and of itself. So just tell them, you know, this is my experience. I heard there's something called Khamar. I heard there's Dawrah in Strandfontein. I heard there's another one. I heard there's a place called DTI also. I heard about this. I heard about that. They're all doing similar things. So you take your pick. No? You take your pick. So this is very, very unique. And if you go to the Western world, you will see that we are in the West, actually. South Africa is very much in the West. In fact, I told you once about that. There's a book that Sheikh Abdul Hakim Murad wrote called Traveling Home. Anyone seen the book? Traveling Home? No one's seen the book. Very difficult book to read. If you ever listen to Sheikh Abdul Hakim Murad, and then you can imagine like if he writes something, right? So he's like a true Englishman. He's like a true Englishman. So he writes the book called Traveling Home, right? Essays on reflections about Islam. There's a special edition that was printed in South Africa by a publishing house in South Africa. They requested to print it. So if you order the one from, like if you order one on Takealot or something like that, you won't get that edition. Right? That edition was only printed here in South Africa, and you can only acquire it locally. I think they printed it in Durban. I don't know if they're still printing it. But this preface is a special preface that only comes in this edition. And he speaks about two things. He speaks about Sheikh Siraj Hendricks, rahimahullah, from the Zawi Institute. And he makes good praise of him. But the second thing that he speaks about like Cape Town as an example for like Muslim minorities. And I think if you read the essay, you'll find it quite interesting. Whether you agree with it or disagree with it, it doesn't matter. We all have our problems and issues, and we're not trying to like posit ourselves as like better than other societies. But he visited Cape Town and he sat with us, and so these were his reflections. And if you go to another city, then you will have to value what is in that city, right? If you go to Port Elizabeth, then you can't be sitting in Port Elizabeth lamenting the condition of Port Elizabeth because it's not Cape Town. You have to enjoy the best of what is in Port Elizabeth, you know? And that's part of being like it's very like an Islamic way to live, to kind of like count your blessing. But if you read this essay of his, you will find it quite interesting that South Africa in particular, and Cape Town also, is like it's a unique place in the Western world, because nobody has Islam for as long as we have it. Nobody has Islam for as long as we have it in the West. No English-speaking country has Islam for as long as we have it, right? So if you go to the rest of the world, then you will see that they're actually they're quite starving where deen is concerned. The book, yeah, it's not an old book. It's a new book. It's a newish book, yeah. I would advise you to read it. It's a challenging book to read, but it's got some interesting things that he speaks about over there. Right. Khair. So I think we suffice ourselves with that. I don't know if Mullah Khalil will meet with you later during Mullah Zakaria's period or so. But I think next week is the what? What do they call it? Graduation. You must excuse us. We don't know these words. It is graduation, all the things. Right? End of year. What do they call it? End of year program. So it will be the end of year program, inshallah al-Fatah. So yeah, hopefully all. I think I don't know if they will mention it over there, but I'll mention it to the students over here. They got some, in terms of my discussions with Mullah Zakaria and Mullah Khalil, then they've got some exciting things lined up for next year. So I think I'm also quite excited to see some of the where they want to take the program and that. And I think to sort of in praise of the students, that when Mullah Khalil and Mullah Zakaria and them, when they sit on these programs and they sit to develop this, then they don't think about anonymous people. They oftentimes in conversation and in planning, they're not thinking about some anonymous people that they will attract. They think about these loyal students that have been here all the years, and they're always thinking about how can they enhance your experience, and what will we do with the Dawrah here, and how can we take them to the next level, and how. So these are the discussions. So when the programs are coming up, and then it's tailored according to the experience that you've been having, and to increase that. And I think that's something for the students at least to be happy about it. So too, like, yeah, I think it will be a very exciting year to learn some new stuff. But I'll be joining you more formally. Isn't this formal enough? I have a mic and camera and all this stuff. This is very formal. More permanently. You know, nothing in life is permanent. Yes, inshallah, I would love to assist. It's like you said, it's a very nice way to spend one's. It's a very nice way to spend one Sunday and so forth. So wherever benefit can be given and taken, inshallah, then may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala place us there. And may Allah place value and benefit in this experience of yours. And bless the teachers and Mullah them until the first of those who initiated this. Because I think in the true sense of the word, we are products of this course. I consider myself to be that. I sit here, having sat here, learning my fa'alus over here. And so, inshallah, hopefully Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can return some benefit to everyone that is taking part in this, inshallah. And may Allah cause it to grow also and increase. And see, I think many of us here, we sit and we hope that our friends and our families and our loved ones can join us in this journey. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bring them along with us. And may Allah cause it to be good for them. And may Allah cause it to be good for us also. And like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has gathered us here, and may Allah cause us to have understanding of the Quran. And understanding that will lead to practice, to positive practice. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala not cause us to be ungrateful about His favor, and continue to bring us back and increase us and take us to the highest levels of recognition of the ulum, of the knowledge of Islam, and also of the inner sciences of connection to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, like He gathered us here in the masjid, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gather us in paradise. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us good ends and benefit us from what we know, and give us beneficial knowledge. Wa sallallahu ala sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen.